All right, good morning, good afternoon, good night. It depends your time and your location. You are joining us today at Eastern News 24. I send the bike and Konye Chile. Yazelo. All right, dika isekunu kwa niru akwụkwọ na gene utelu nya bụ daily news update po gbasata maka ya bụ ife na-eme n'obodo anyị nọ n'ime ya dịka o si dị anyị wetelu na ya bụ nnukwu ozi anyị achọkwunu ge ya bụ ife obi or Biafra. All right, unu ya ege ntị kunu n'ife Tony Nnadi na ndị ọzọ dị iche iche kwuru n'iru akwụkwọ gbasata maka ya bụ ife. O kwuru okwu gbasata maka Biafran Prime Minister Maazị Simon Ekpe and Mr. Peter Obi, but the presidential candidate of Labour Party. Ndị ọzọ kwuru okwu n'ime erika geenụ ntị ụmụ ife ka unu ga ya bụ ife unu ga-esie ya una drop ife unu chere n'iru akwụkwọ gbasata maka ya bụ ife ndị a niile ekwuru n'iru akwụkwọ n'ụbọchị nke taa. All right, over to you.
What you are saying sounds in a way not different from what Simon Ekpa said on this show a few weeks ago. Let me play that for you, and then I'll get your take on the other alternative, because what you are presenting is one alternative to the Nigerian problem. Other people will have other alternatives. What do you expect will happen? You think Peter Obi is wasting his time running for president?
Peter Obi is not just wasting his time. Peter Obi is, I don't know any derogatory word that I will use to quantify Peter Obi. Peter Obi is not running for president. Peter Obi is only in this race to distract Biafrans. That's all. They want to get somebody from the southeast who will now come as a Biafran, so that it will be on record that in 2023 a Biafran ran for Nigeria president. That's all. So he's not running for president, and he himself knows that.
What if he wins?
Why is he going to win? Is he going to win from your vote?
What if he wins?
No, we are not even talking about winning, because we can't allow election in Biafra land. So if he is going to win, he is going to win from the election, voting from the northern Nigeria, because his running mate is a Mauritania. He's from Mauritania. Are you aware of that?
People are looking at the country and they are feeling that things are not working. And the Biafran group, whether it's Nnamdi, Kanu or Simon Ekpa, they also came to the conclusion that this is not working for them. And they are saying now there shouldn't be election in the southeast, and that in fact they're saying that people should stay at home during that election. What do you think about their own solution? They are also trying to find a way around these problems you mentioned.
Yes. I will request those who are listening to this session, who have the capacity to record, to please record, so that they can have their own independent record, having taken it live from where it was being said. Simon Ekpa and all of those who are running this Biafra restoration business are clear-minded criminals who are not in any way involved in the liberation campaign we wage. I repeat, Simon Ekpa and his ex-wife principal, Nnamdi Kanu, and all of those who are doing one Biafra thing or the other, because we had engaged them to ask them very basic questions. And our interactions with them that, ran over a number of years left us with only one conclusion, that these people are not at all interested in anything that might even remotely lead to any kind of salvation or liberation. And what are those issues? What are those issues? What is the meaning, if I were to ask you, Rudolph, what is the meaning of Biafra restoration? You were in New York. You were in that town hall in New York, where I had to pull up one of the professors. Our people, our diaspora people, our Igbo people in the US should listen carefully, because in the days ahead, it will come to when we begin to call names of people who did what. You see, on the Nigerian stage, we have been very cautious, very taking every care not to call names of people who did the kind of things that will make people stone them if people were to know even today. some of the people that are being followed around. And so you were there in New York Town Hall, in between our shuttles in Washington, where they were talking about, they said it's not what we are doing that they want is Biafra, they want, and we asked them, what is the meaning of Biafra restoration? Is it the Biafra of 1967? Because three basic questions. Where's the map of the territory you described? Because if you say you want independence, which is what they say they want, where does it begin? Where does it end? The Lower Niger Congress has sat down with 42 different Biafran organizations, starting with Owazurike that recruited all of them. Biafra actualization that became Biafra restoration in 2013 when Nnamdi Kanu set up and broke off from Raf Wazirike. So I'm reporting to you what transpired directly between me and the leader on behalf of LNC and the leadership of all these groups, starting with Wazirike and then Nnamdi Kanu's IPOB. And then Simon Ekpa that joined them only very recently. He doesn't even know where the skeletons are buried in that IPOB. They cannot give me a definition of what Biafra restoration means because they do not have a map of where. Does that Biafra include the present rivers, Cross River, Akwa Ibom, and Bayelsa? If it does not, or if it does, have you sat down with them to agree? Those who did not come with you in 1967, have you sat down with them to agree? We placed an 8-point strategy to tell you how we came to the conclusion that this madness that is now costing us blood. You remember that we shouted all over the place, both in Nigeria and in the international arena. And we went to the homes of the elders, of our Igbo elders resident in the US, telling them that this criminality will lead to bloodshed, the kind of bloodshed we are seeing in the East now, because a few criminals latched onto what was being done to now, the sentiment, the very positive sentiment of the Biafra of life, the Biafra that saved those who were to be killed in 1967. They have bastardized that name in saying that they are going to, I don't know what they are doing, and I came to the conclusion that they are criminals who are only interested in making money and making fame from the pain and misery of a people that are in distress. Those 8 points of strategy, that was the basis of our discussions with all of them, inviting them. We tried to invite them to bring whatever energies are available into the simple liberation strategy that we put on the table. Those 8 points start with the map of the entire place. We have a map of Nigeria, and we say we and other people are trapped here, and therefore how do we get ourselves out of that prison? We are not the only ones. Ogoni is being slaughtered, Ijo is being slaughtered, Tiv is being slaughtered, Yoruba is not spared, Juku is in trouble. You have Danjuma shouting. And so the nature of the problem is not the one you come and say, oh, give me Biafra. What is the meaning of the Biafra in the circumstance? If the territory you talk about is the one of 1967, then it includes the whole of Ijola, the whole of Ibibioland, Anna, Efik, and everything in between. And so they have no idea. And to be specific, since Simon Ekpa is a disciple of the Nnamdi Kanu, I don't know what their situation has become now, since they are now suing themselves, pretending that they were not in agreement. Everything he was doing was as directed, as agreed upon between him and his ex-wife principal, if he's still, if he's no longer with them. But I take all this as shenanigans. They set out on the same mission to deceive our people with the propaganda of a totally meaningless Biafra restoration. We have a monster that is sitting on us. We have been able to dissect how that monster came about and the nature of what it's doing. The instrument that enables it to do it is that constitution. The people were not the only ones in that suffering. Everybody else that are trapped here in Nigeria also looking for salvation. And so we showed them a plan by which we had gone around to talk to all the other people in the trouble. Since they were all being killed, they've all been expropriated, their assets have been seized by Nigeria in that exclusive list you saw. And tell us where's the portion you are talking about? Assuming you are not interested in what happens to all the other people, tell us the portion. They do not have a map. and that position is still the same to this date. Not one of them can place a map on the table. Eventually, his principal, Nnamdi Kanu, went and put a map of 17th century, a place labeled Biafra. You know, there was Bight of Biafra in the waters that's now called the Gulf of Guinea. That was his own answer in the meeting I had with him in 2013. I don't even, I consider it, you know, I don't, the Simon Ekpa does not exist. That's why talking about him is something of, you know, it's like going to discuss what rats are doing inside the gutter. You know, it shouldn't take even 1 minute of our time. These are criminals. And so let me pin it down to the specifics between myself and Nnamdi Kanu at the time he left was written in 2012. Our meeting happened in 2013. Those you know, 8 points, the map of the exact map of the territory you are talking about, the discussions you have had with the neighbors, I mean those who are not Igbo in that you know, setting. You remember in 1967, all of the territories that have now become rivers, Cross River, Akwa Ibom, and Bayelsa today were part of that eastern region. Have you gone to sit down with them? The answer was no. In fact, in terms of map, Nnamdi Kanu said to me that everybody knows where Biafra is. That was his answer to my question of map of the territory. Because people were already being killed in Aba, and other places. People who are made to believe that there's some Biafra that will fall from the sky. No map, no discussion with any neighbor. And on each occasion, on each of the questions, I placed on the table our own answer. This is the territory. There's a map of 1885 that has the whole of Midwest and Eastern region of 1965. That's of pre-1966 Midwest and Eastern region. You know, according to ethnic delineations, there was the Igbo territory that extended everywhere. There was the Ijaw territory that extended everywhere. You know, those people are still in the places where they are. They are 98 feet. It was that map, the Beni, Urobo, the Shekiri, ethnic nationalities to whom this sovereignty accrue and who are now desirous of having something different from what Nigeria imposed on them in their space. And not only did we have that map, we had also gone around sitting down with them, started from the Oba of Benin, the late Renua, who was the permanent secretary in Gowon's cabinet office that went to Aburi, was the one that took the minister of Aburi, Enohoro leading. And at that level, they interrogated what was being proposed to remove the shackles Nigeria placed on all of them in something that could become a federation, a union they discussed properly to, you know, work out their future with their neighbors. We went from there to the Oluwari, to the Amenables, through the Ijaw territories, all the way to the Oba Principal. It took us 6 years between 2003 and 2009 to get everybody to examine what we were offering, different from what Nigeria had imposed on them. And therefore they came along. That was how that Lower Niger concept came in. And looking at what the UN instrument is on the subject matter, it was these nationalities that were entitled to this you know, sovereignty we are talking about. The third item, the constitution by which Nigeria is occupying your space. You know what they said? Because of course, concerning our neighbors, Nnamdi told me that the eastern minorities do not understand what we are discussing, that when they begin to do Biafra, they will come along. That was his answer to me. And then the constitution by which Nigeria is prevailing. He said, oh no, you are still discussing constitution. What else are you, what is the problem that you want to solve? If you do not realize that it is the constitution that tie you up and make you slave in your land like the apartheid constitution. Imagine if Mandela and Oliver Tambo were not interested in apartheid constitution, yet they want freedom from. That was the kind of answer I got. He said, we are still discussing constitution of Nigeria, that is Biafra is doing. Then what is yours? Where will this thing land? Assuming you begin to succeed, what is success for you? By what mechanism will it be, you know, actualized or you know, operationalized? We want something that will land in referendum, because we are targeting this constitution. This is our strategy for bringing the constitution to where it can no longer be basis of union, that will then have a log jam that has to be resolved in some way, and that having built an alliance and a consensus against that constitution, a consensus for what to do to recover everybody's you know, sovereignty that Nigeria was holding, having discussed same in the international circuit. You were there in New York when we were running Helter Skelter in that circle. And I was directly involved in how the 2007 instrument that they now call United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, the thing that Nigeria has done to us, the thing that Britain did to us by the 1914 amalgamation was to hijack our sovereignty. And they managed to carry it forward even after the Lancaster discussions that ceded that returned some of those things. By 1966, everything was washed away and they seized it. So going from that, Nnamdi told me in that meeting of 2013 that anybody who talks about referendum will be killed. I said, no. What is your reason? He said that Nigeria will rig referendum. I said, no, the one we're talking about is not Nigeria and INEC that will do. That we've discussed the UN, this is what the UN says. This is what we've done. And we've been back and forth to make sure that what we're doing was within their view. Or you think it's by accident that the Agnes Callamard mission, you remember the rapporteur mission that came after our 2019 7 months interaction in Washington? You remember there was a UN rapporteur that came to investigate the judicial killings happening in Nigeria, headed by Agnes Callamard. I want those who are listening to make their findings concerning these specifics. In August of 2019, that rapporteur mission came to the conclusion that what was responsible for the blood flow in Nigeria was the constitutional arrangement of Nigeria that was operating like pressure cooker for injustice, and that Nigeria under that constitution is a threat to global peace, to global security, because Nigeria will snap. It's only a matter of time. And I think Nigeria of 200 million people will snap, that the global community will have an unprecedented refugee crisis to deal with. And so we were able to make out something that could become a plan that will accommodate everybody, including Fulani. We had a map of Nigeria to say we must have we cannot have a union in which human life is not held sacrosanct.
There are 3 reasons why Peter Obi lost, or why Peter Obi is not president today, maybe even 4. But the first reason is this. Out of the 5 states of the Southeast, now this is number 1 reason, the number of registered voters that collected their PVC in the whole 5 states of the Southeast, the Igbos now, the number of Igbos that collected their PVCs in the southeastern states are about 11 million. 11 million. But then, when you put the total number of votes for Peter Obi together from the 5 southeastern states, they come up to about 1.6 million. What happened? If they rigged elsewhere, did they also rig in Anambra? No. But what happened? We need to ask ourselves this question. It's important. Many Igbos did not come out to vote. And it's not like they wanted to sit down in their house. No. They sat down in their houses because they were afraid. Because somebody was smart enough to instigate someone like Simon Ekpa to push the narrative of sit at home. So they pushed that narrative, and the narrative was not enough. So what did they do? They went further to actually begin to carry out acts of violence in the name of IPOB. People were losing their lives. So they were scared. Even those who defied the sit at home, old women were beating their goods that they shaded in front of their houses destroyed. So most Igbos did not come out to vote out of fear of sit at home or violating sit at home. So the vast number of Igbos did not come out. Out of 11 million people, Igbos that collected PVC, only 1.6 million people, Igbos voted. So about 9 million Igbos, 9 million Igbos did not vote for Peter Obi. So the reason number 1 why Peter Obi did not win is because Igbos did not vote for him.
All right, thank you once again. Una nugo n'ife ya bụ the discussion concerning what is happening and whether ndị Igbo are standing with Peter Obi or a Biafra or Biafran freedom. All right, ndị ba ka efi were ikwu gbasata maka ya bụ ife ndị enu n'iru akwụkwọ n'ụbọchị uruchi nke taa ka efi were ikwu n'ụdị nke gị dropụra ife anyị chere tụsakwa ya bụ ozi ka ụmụnna anyị ndị ọzọ wee fụ ma wee nụkwa ihe na-emenụ dịka o si dị ngwadado dị nenu ka emesịa na ụmụ Igbo